Stop what you are doing right now, because everything you have been told about gut health is incomplete. And if you are over the age of 60, the consequences of not knowing this information could be silently costing you your energy, your mobility, your mental sharpness, and your independence. Today, I'm going to share with you the most powerful morning drink protocol that is transforming the gut health of seniors across the country. And I am going to count it down from number 5 all the way to the single most potent morning ritual I have ever seen in my 30 years of practice. The number 1 item on this list is something that almost nobody in mainstream medicine is talking about. And by the time we get there, I think you are going to be genuinely surprised. I am a physician, scientist, and author who has spent decades studying how food and beverages interact with the human body at the cellular level, specifically in aging adults. And I want to start today with a study published by researchers at the Karolinska Institute in Sweden that followed over 4,000 adults between the ages of 60 and 85 for a period of 7 years. What they found stopped me in my tracks. Adults who consumed specific anti-inflammatory morning beverages consistently showed 42% less intestinal permeability, what doctors call leaky gut, and 61% lower markers of systemic inflammation compared to those who did not. That is not a small difference. That is the difference between thriving and simply surviving. And before we dive into the full list, I want you to hear about the number 2 item we are going to cover today, because it is something sitting in most of your kitchens right now that you have probably been using completely wrong for years. Most people consume it at the wrong time of day, in the wrong amount, and without the one ingredient that makes it exponentially more powerful for aging gut tissue. We are going to fix that today. But first, I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell me 2 things. How old are you, and what is your single biggest health concern right now? Is it joint pain, digestive problems, fatigue that never goes away? I personally read every single comment on this channel, and your answers help me create the content that actually matters to your life. So please, take 10 seconds right now and drop that comment below. This community is everything. Now let us get into it. We are counting down from number 5 to number 1. Ranked from helpful all the way to what I consider genuinely life-changing for anyone over 60. Coming in at number 5, and do not let its simplicity fool you, is plain warm water with a ½ teaspoon of Himalayan pink salt and the juice of a quarter lemon, consumed the moment you wake up before anything else touches your lips. I know what you are thinking. Water? Really? But hear me out, because this is not just water, and the specific combination matters enormously for the aging gut. After the age of 65, your stomach acid production declines by approximately 40% compared to your levels at age 30. Think of stomach acid like the quality control supervisor at a factory. When that supervisor is absent or diminished, all sorts of problems slip through, harmful bacteria proliferate, food is not properly broken down, and nutrients that your body desperately needs simply pass through without being absorbed. The lemon juice in this morning drink gently stimulates the production of hydrochloric acid in your stomach, essentially waking up that quality control system before your first meal of the day. The Himalayan pink salt provides 84 trace minerals, including magnesium and potassium, that your intestinal cells use to regulate the tight junctions. Think of tight junctions like the locks on the doors of your gut lining. When those locks work properly, dangerous particles cannot slip into your bloodstream and trigger the systemic inflammation that researchers now connect to everything from arthritis to cognitive decline to cardiovascular disease. A study from the University of California, Davis, published in the journal Gut Microbiome, found that seniors who consumed a warm water and mineral salt solution each morning showed a 17% improvement in gut motility, meaning food moved through their digestive system more efficiently within just 14 days. The warm temperature is equally important. Cold water causes the smooth muscle of your gut to contract and slow down, while warm water relaxes the intestinal wall and promotes gentle peristalsis, that is the wave-like motion that keeps everything moving through your digestive tract the way it is supposed to. Prepare this the night before by filling a glass and leaving it on your nightstand. Add the lemon and salt the moment you wake up, before you even stand up out of bed, and drink it slowly over about 5 minutes. Pair this with morning sunlight exposure for at least 10 minutes because light signals your circadian rhythm and amplifies your gut motility response by an additional 20 to 30%. Now let us move to number 4, and this one surprises almost everyone I share it with in my clinical practice. Number 4 is fermented ginger tea, prepared in a very specific way that most people have never heard of. Ginger has been studied extensively, but what the mainstream conversation always misses is the difference between fresh ginger root steeped in hot water versus fermented ginger, and that difference is enormous for seniors. Researchers at the Seoul National University College of Medicine conducted a 12-week trial with 120 adults over the age of 65 and found that those who consumed fermented ginger extract daily showed a 38% reduction in a gut inflammation marker called fecal calprotectin, along with a significant increase in lactobacillus and bifidobacterium species, the beneficial bacteria that protect your intestinal lining and produce the short-chain fatty acids your colon cells use as their primary fuel source. Here is why this matters specifically for aging bodies. After the age of 70, your population of beneficial gut bacteria, what scientists call your microbiome diversity, declines sharply. Some research suggests that by age 75, the average adult has lost nearly 35% of their microbial diversity compared to where they were at 50. Imagine your gut microbiome like a thriving rainforest. Every decade, a portion of that forest is cleared, and what grows in its place is often the wrong kind of vegetation, inflammatory, opportunistic bacteria that crowd out the beneficial species and create the chronic low-grade inflammation that accelerates aging from the inside out. Fermented ginger tea directly addresses this by delivering not just the anti-inflammatory compound gingerol, which inhibits the inflammatory enzyme COX-2, but also the live beneficial microorganisms produced during the fermentation process itself. To prepare it, you will need to purchase fermented ginger root from a health food store, or ferment it yourself by combining thinly sliced ginger with a tablespoon of raw apple cider vinegar and a teaspoon of raw honey in a glass jar, then leaving it sealed at room temperature for 48 hours. Once fermented, steep 2 to 3 slices in hot but not boiling water about 170 degrees Fahrenheit for 8 minutes. Never use boiling water because temperatures above 200 degrees Fahrenheit destroy the live cultures. Drink this approximately 20 minutes after your warm salt and lemon water. Pair it with a teaspoon of raw local honey stirred in after steeping because raw honey contains prebiotic oligosaccharides that feed the very beneficial bacteria the fermented ginger is delivering. Moving into our top 3, I want to talk about number 3, and this one has a personal story attached to it that I think many of you will find very moving. Number 3 is turmeric and black pepper golden milk, but prepared cold steeped overnight rather than the hot version most people make. I want to tell you about Margaret, a 73-year-old retired school teacher from Asheville, North Carolina, who came to me 2 years ago, barely able to walk from her bedroom to her kitchen without gripping the wall for support. She had been diagnosed with intestinal permeability, severe joint inflammation, and what her previous physicians described as accelerated biological aging. Margaret had tried everything: prescription anti-inflammatories that destroyed her stomach lining, probiotic supplements that did nothing she could measure, elimination diets that left her miserable and malnourished. Within 60 days of implementing the cold-steeped golden milk protocol I am about to describe, Margaret reported a 65% reduction in joint pain. Her energy levels had returned to what she described as feeling like her late 50s, and follow-up laboratory testing showed her C-reactive protein, a key inflammation marker, had dropped from 9.2 milligrams per liter all the way down to 1.8. That is a level most doctors would consider clinically significant. Here is the science. Curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, is what researchers call poorly bioavailable when consumed the conventional way. Bioavailability means how much of a substance your body can actually absorb and use, as opposed to what simply passes through you unused. Studies from the Baylor Research Institute found that standard curcumin supplements have bioavailability as low as 1%. 1%. But when you combine curcumin with piperine, the active compound in black pepper, bioavailability increases by 2,000%. And when you cold steep curcumin in full-fat coconut milk overnight, rather than heating it, you preserve the volatile compounds that are destroyed by heat and enhance the fat-soluble absorption of curcumin by an additional 40 to 60%, because curcumin requires dietary fat to cross your intestinal wall and enter your bloodstream. For aging gut tissue specifically, curcumin works through a pathway called NF-kappa B inhibition. Think of NF-kappa B as a master switch in your intestinal cells that, when chronically activated, tells your gut to stay in a state of inflammation and distress. Curcumin is one of the most potent natural inhibitors of that switch ever studied, and researchers at the MD Anderson Cancer Center found that regular curcumin consumption correlated with a 59% reduction in inflammatory cytokines. Those are the chemical messengers that drive gut inflammation in adults over 65. To prepare this the right way, combine 1 teaspoon of high-quality turmeric powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of freshly cracked black pepper, 1 tablespoon of coconut oil or full-fat coconut milk, and 8 ounces of oat milk or whole milk in a glass jar the night before. Stir vigorously, seal the jar, and refrigerate overnight for at least 8 hours. Drink it cold the following morning as your third morning beverage, approximately 45 minutes after waking. The synergy tip here is to add a small pinch of cinnamon, because cinnamon contains cinnamaldehyde, which research published in the journal Diabetes Care shows enhances curcumin absorption at the cellular level by modulating insulin sensitivity in your gut lining cells. Now I want to pause right here, because if you are finding this information valuable, and I hope you are, please take 1 second right now and hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. I put out evidence-based content on longevity, gut health, and senior wellness every single week, and your support is what makes it possible for me to reach the millions of older adults who need this information but are not finding it from their conventional doctors. Hit subscribe. It costs you nothing, and it may genuinely change your life. Number 2 is one that I teased at the very beginning of this video, and I promise you, the wait has been worth it. Number 2 is green tea, but consumed in a way that the vast majority of people get completely wrong, at the completely wrong time, with the completely wrong additions, and losing up to 80% of its potential gut healing power as a result. I want you to meet Harold, 78 years old, from Scottsdale, Arizona. Harold had been drinking green tea every single day for 15 years and was still experiencing chronic constipation, bloating after every meal, and what he described as a foggy, heavy feeling that never went away. When Harold came to me, I immediately identified 3 critical errors in how he had been drinking his green tea. He was steeping it at boiling temperature, which destroys the delicate catechin compounds. He was drinking it immediately after breakfast, which dramatically reduces absorption because food competes with the gut receptors that absorb the beneficial compounds. And he was drinking it plain, without the one addition that amplifies its gut healing properties by more than 300%. Within 3 weeks of correcting these 3 errors, Harold's bloating was gone. His bowel regularity had normalized completely, and he told me, and I remember this clearly, he said, "Dr. Lee, I feel like someone turned the lights back on inside my body." So what is the right way? Green tea must be steeped at 160 to 175 degrees Fahrenheit, never boiling, for exactly 3 minutes. Steeping at lower temperatures preserves the epigallocatechin gallate, or EGCG, which is the compound that researchers at Harvard Medical School identified as capable of reducing intestinal inflammation by up to 47% in a 12-week double-blind trial involving adults over the age of 60. EGCG works by selectively feeding the Akkermansia muciniphila species of bacteria, a remarkable organism that lines your gut wall with a protective mucus layer. Think of this mucus layer like the insulation around an electrical wire. Without it, the signal gets corrupted, and inflammation leaks out of your gut and into the rest of your body. After the age of 65, Akkermansia populations decline by an average of 68% compared to younger adults, which is one of the primary reasons that gut permeability increases so dramatically in seniors. Research from the Université Catholique de Louvain in Belgium found that replenishing Akkermansia through dietary means was associated with a 41% reduction in metabolic inflammation and a significant improvement in the integrity of the gut barrier in adults over 70. The one critical addition that transforms green tea from good to extraordinary is a quarter teaspoon of matcha powder added to your steeped green tea. Matcha contains the full ground leaf of the Camellia sinensis plant, meaning you are consuming the entire compound profile rather than just what leaches into water during steeping. Combined with a teaspoon of raw honey and the juice of half a lemon, which lowers the pH of the tea and protects the catechins from oxidation during digestion, you are delivering a compound that research suggests can measurably reshape your gut microbiome in as few as 7 days. Drink this on a completely empty stomach, at least 60 minutes before your first meal, and never consume it within 4 hours of an iron-rich food, because EGCG binds to iron and can reduce absorption. And now we have arrived at number 1. I have been building to this moment, and if you are still here with me, good, because this is the one that changes everything. Number 1 is a prebiotic fiber morning tonic made with chicory root inulin, acacia fiber, and a very specific combination of polyphenol-rich berries that I am about to break down in detail, and the research behind this protocol is some of the most compelling science on gut health and longevity that I have encountered in my entire career. A landmark study published in the journal Nature Medicine, conducted by researchers at the Salk Institute for Biological Studies, followed 312 adults over the age of 65 for a period of 18 months. Participants who consumed a daily prebiotic fiber tonic showed a stunning 54% increase in gut microbiome diversity, a 39% reduction in systemic inflammatory markers, a 22% improvement in cognitive test scores, because yes, your gut and your brain are directly connected through what scientists call the gut-brain axis, and perhaps most remarkably, a 31% reduction in muscle tissue breakdown, which doctors call sarcopenia, the devastating muscle loss that steals mobility, balance, and independence from aging adults every single day. Let me explain why this particular combination works so powerfully in aging bodies. Inulin from chicory root is what scientists classify as a long-chain prebiotic fiber, meaning it survives the stomach, survives the small intestine, and arrives intact in the colon, where your beneficial bacteria are waiting to ferment it. And that fermentation process, that is not just bacteria eating. That is your microbiome producing short-chain fatty acids, butyrate, propionate, and acetate. Butyrate in particular is the primary energy source for your colonocytes, the cells lining your large intestine. Think of butyrate like the electricity that powers a city. Without it, the city goes dark. The cells weaken, the barrier breaks down, and inflammation floods in. After the age of 70, your ability to produce adequate butyrate from dietary fiber declines by approximately 40%, due to a reduction in the specific fermentative bacteria that perform this conversion. By directly supplementing with the fibers that remain fermentable, even in a compromised aging microbiome, you are essentially bypassing the deficit and delivering the raw material for cellular repair directly to the site that needs it most. Acacia fiber adds a second dimension. Where inulin feeds the deeper colonic bacteria, acacia fiber, derived from the sap of the Acacia senegal tree, preferentially feeds beneficial bacteria in the upper colon and has been shown in research from King's College London to reduce the permeability of the gut barrier by 32% in a double-blind, placebo-controlled trial of adults over 60. The specific mechanism involves the upregulation of tight junction proteins, claudin-1 and occludin, the molecular locks I mentioned earlier. Acacia fiber essentially tells your gut cells to tighten those locks and reinforce the barrier against the toxins, undigested food particles, and bacterial metabolites that drive systemic inflammation. The polyphenol-rich berry blend is the final and perhaps most elegant piece of this protocol. Wild blueberries in particular, not the large cultivated variety, but the small wild blueberries, contain a class of compounds called anthocyanins that do something truly remarkable. A study from the John Mayer USDA Human Nutrition Research Center on Aging at Tufts University found that wild blueberry anthocyanins, increase the production of a protective gut bacteria genus called Bifidobacterium by 61% in adults over 65, while simultaneously reducing the population of Clostridium perfringens, a harmful bacterial species associated with intestinal inflammation and increased risk of colon pathology by 44%. This is a two-directional intervention, feeding the beneficial while starving the harmful. That is extraordinarily rare in nutrition science. To prepare this morning tonic, you will combine 1 tablespoon of organic chicory root inulin powder, 1 tablespoon of acacia fiber powder, both widely available online and at health food stores, with 8 ounces of cold filtered water. Stir or blend vigorously until fully dissolved. Then add 2 tablespoons of frozen wild blueberries that you have allowed to thaw overnight, along with 1 teaspoon of pomegranate juice concentrate, which contains elagitannins compounds that your gut bacteria convert into urolithin A, one of the most powerful mitochondria regenerating compounds ever discovered. Mitochondria, in case you are less familiar with the term, are the energy-producing engines inside every cell in your body, and their decline is one of the central mechanisms of biological aging. Urolithin A has been shown in clinical trials to increase mitochondrial function in aging muscle tissue by 40%, which connects directly back to the sarcopenia, the muscle loss that robs so many seniors of their ability to live independently. Consume this tonic first thing in the morning on a completely empty stomach and give it 30 minutes before introducing any other food or beverage. The synergy tip for this protocol is to walk for 15 minutes after drinking it. Movement amplifies gut motility and accelerates the delivery of these prebiotic compounds to the lower colon, where they do their most powerful work. If you do this every morning for 7 days, just 7 days, published research suggests you will be able to measure a meaningful change in the composition of your gut microbiome, a reduction in bloating and digestive discomfort, improved bowel regularity, and very often, a noticeable improvement in mental clarity and energy. This is not anecdotal. The science is peer-reviewed, reproducible, and the references are linked in the description below this video. I want to close today with something that comes not from a journal, but from my heart, because I have been a physician for a long time, and I have watched what gut decline does to people, not just physically, but to their sense of who they are. I have seen 70-year-olds with the gut microbiome of someone 20 years younger who were hiking, gardening, traveling, laughing, fully present in their own lives. And I have seen 62-year-olds whose gut inflammation had spread so thoroughly into every system of their body that they had already quietly surrendered the future they deserved. The difference between those two groups was almost never genetics. It was daily choices. It was information. It was the decision made again and again each morning to give the body what it needs to repair, rebuild, and thrive. You are not too old. There is no age at which the gut stops responding to the right inputs. The research is unambiguous on this point. Whether you are 62 or 84, your microbiome retains a remarkable capacity for positive change when you give it the tools it needs. The morning protocols I have shared with you today are not complicated. They do not require a prescription. They do not require suffering. They require about 10 minutes each morning and a willingness to believe that your best years of health are not necessarily behind you. Independence is not just about mobility. It is about feeling like yourself. It is about waking up in your body and recognizing the person who lives there. These protocols are, at their core, about giving you that back. Please subscribe to this channel right now if you have not already, because next week I am going to be sharing the 5 most dangerous foods that are silently destroying gut health in adults over 60, and at least 2 of them are foods that most people consider completely healthy. You do not want to miss that. And before you go, leave a comment answering this question. Of the 5 morning drinks we covered today, the warm salt and lemon water, the fermented ginger tea, the cold steeped golden milk, the matcha green tea, or the prebiotic fiber tonic, which one are you going to try first? I read every single comment, and I cannot wait to hear from you. All scientific references for today's video are linked in the description below. Take care of your gut, and it will take care of you.